Hello once again, people, and welcome back to Dark Hour. So last time around, we checked out the first level of the campaign, Valhalla awaits. That wasn't exactly the best highlight at all for what the pack contains. It did show, that a lot of features from the original game are back. And it showed some of the tropes that we're going to see in Dark Hour. But as for a level itself, it probably wasn't the best quality-based level to show you guys. It definitely is probably still one of the weaker entries I consider for Dark Hour. Though this might just be nostalgia talk, and honestly, I haven't played Dark Hour in a while, so we'll see as we go through this how exactly that changes, and if there's a bunch of stuff that turns out I don't like any of it. We'll see. Anyway, Dark Hour. This time around, we'll be checking out Office Hell, the second level of said campaign, and basically what we would have seen had the level not crashed on us, because we didn't have Office Hell in our directory. But I digress. Anyway, a good thing to mention this time around is the fact that I have fixed on my difficulty issue or whatnot. I actually made sure it was on scale 3 beforehand. So that way we don't end up with the same problem we did last time. Other than that, it's mostly just loaded up and let's actually go. There's really nothing else to say to stretch this thing out. Okay, we're loading it up. Bring it on, baby. And so we're in Office Hell. And you can already hear ogres in the walls. Oh, brilliant. Now, the interesting thing about this level is the fact of the matter that looking at like the list of enemies, this is a very weird one. Because last time around we saw only one ogre, and it was an ogre marksman. Which I said was heavily common in Dark Hour. This level is a very weird one because it has regular ogres, but it also has ogre marksmen. This actually might be an interesting level. Let's see if we can get some infighting going on here, if two are nearby. Or if I can even figure out which one's which just in the course of playing this one. But yeah, it's a very funky situation whereby there are 2 ogre marksmen and then a bunch of ogres. I think there's like 6 ogres and 2 ogre marksmen here, or something funky like that. Anyway, let's actually play this thing instead of just standing around. 62 enemies, that's a lot more like it. After the last 2 levels of having short numbers of enemies, this is a lot more welcome. The interesting thing is, right at the start here, we have a bunch of guns. But you have to like be smart enough to come down this little tiny corridor here. Otherwise you're gonna miss everything. Other than that, let's actually get underway. Here's some like lighting features. Weird giant lights. This is weird. Honestly, I'm experiencing like a little bit of like lag. And I think the reason for it is because these maps are not optimized at all. And so run worse in performance than the original game did. This would be an issue in like a more modern source port like GLQuake and something like that. But because we're running on the already push to the brim DosBox, this means that this feels even more of a crawl or whatnot. It feels like it's fighting with me even more than normal. You can tell by the fact that like that health pack there like disappeared and then reappeared. The maps are not being BSP drawn correctly or whatnot. They don't seem to have been really made well in optimization. You know, they're a lot prettier than the last one, but yet there is some optimization issues going on here, which could make it a bit slower than we want. I think it's an ogre marksman. I didn't hear any growl. But yeah, I don't see any ogres nearby. Oh, this is going to be brilliant. Look how slow this is. Yet there's really not much I can do about it because DosBox. And honestly, luckily it's still playable. It isn't like it's going to crawl to a point that you can't see what's going on. It's just because weird things like that. Look at that! There was house right there! And it's disappeared! We haven't seen issues like this since we were playing like some of the unoptimized Doom levels. But it's a lot worse when you do it in a 3D environment and you do it on a very old source, not even do it on a source port, you do it on the original DOS game. Yeah! This could be very problematic, people. Okay, we got a grenade launcher. At least that'll allow us to kill things a bit faster. Uh-oh. There's a grunt! I see a grunt! Must kill the grunt in this heavily unoptimized hellhole! Get me out of here! Yeah, this is one thing. Now I'm experiencing what people would be experiencing back in '96. Terrible lag and the ability to do really anything. Ain't that fun? You know, because what's more fun than simulating what it was like in '96, whereby everybody could really play resource-demanding games? That's totally fun, right? Okay, where's the grunt? Yeah, I'm definitely happy GLQuake is a thing, people. Because, like I said, the performance issues in DosBox really make it so it's not worth it. Honestly, I think I really have like a hate-based relationship with DosBox. Like I said, DOS as a system is just very, very clunky. You notice it by all the screen tearing. That's one thing you can really notice, like, horribly here. Look at all the screen tearing. I mean, this shouldn't be happening like this. This is bad. You know, it's having this much issue trying to keep up with me. Things that disappear in the world. It's a horribly unoptimized environment. Yeah, we're trying to persevere through this. My God. Yeah, like I said, this is horrible looking though. Like trying to see what's going on with that flickering and whatnot. It doesn't look right. And it definitely plays a lot better any day in like actual GLQuake or something like that nature. So yeah, I'll be happy to actually get to that and stop torturing myself with stuff like this. Why in God's name did I decide to do it all in DosBox? Why do I do this stuff to myself? Anyway, let's try to make the best of this. I decided it. Now I have to dig my own grave over here. But yeah, I basically learned my lesson. Once I get back to GLQuake, I'm not looking towards like any of the other ones. Quake might be okay. I honestly haven't really played much of that one. But yeah, DosBox, I've learned to hate DosBots. I think that's real. Doing nothing but DosBots for the longest period of time now, so trying to actually get used to it, trying to get past all its nuances. I've gotten used to, you know, the controls, and I'm able to do everything in that. But it feels so unoptimized and so clunky. Like, this isn't right. You know, look at the screen tearing. Anyway, let's actually get what we're talking to today. There's, like, pretty lights here. Giant little lights. And as you notice, there was, like, 2 rooms that were pretty identical here. Then we went down the staircase area and we shot grunts in these rooms or whatever, and we're kind of getting there. Yeah, hard to really do anything but look around. And there's of course a guy behind here. Don't forget him. Very easy to forget him. Anyone order a case of deja vu? Yep. Almost Hell is a very interesting level because it basically repeats itself over and over and over. Yeah. Get used to this, people. It changes, like, the enemies, but the geometry stays the same. All I gotta say is, my god, this is horribly unoptimized. Like, this is horrible looking. You know, it's hard to see what's even going on. I can imagine it's gonna be hard to watch. My god. But this is what it's like to be back in Quake in '96. Yay! Nostalgia! Yay! Gotta love nostalgia, right? Yep, this is '96 for you. Are you happy we're doing this nostalgia trip? Yep. Gonna play the nice optimized GLQuake, but I decided let's do it like how people did back in '96. Yeah! Look at this! I'm crawling along like a snail, I can barely see what I'm doing, but nostalgia! See, I basically gained some new difficulty level in this whole thing. Basically, they're making it so hard for me to actually complete the level by making it so horribly unoptimized I can barely see what I'm doing. It's basically the new way to make this level, like, actually difficult for me. Because it's hard to actually do anything when you can't see where the health packs are. You can't know what you're even doing. Because, like, the screen's tearing so much. Yeah, it's basically a blind faith case of wander around aimlessly and hoping you can shoot things. Needless to say, this is a really aimless, reckless adventure of, I don't know what God's name I'm doing. All I can say is, this is horrible. This tearing is driving me nuts. If there's a way to, like, fix this, I'd like it. Oh look, somebody fighting. It's pretty useless since I can't really shoot many things myself to actually see what I'm doing. Oh, I think there are actually spawns here, so I don't really want to use the, I can barely see what's going on. Oh, let's try and find a jumping fiend. Okay, actually works somehow. Well, this isn't good. Anyone have any health? Anyone? Oh look, health. Yeah, I could use that. And my reckless, I don't know what's going on adventure. Wait, yay, look at this. Now the feet's having trouble jumping up the staircase, so of course one time he's just gonna plunge up and kill me. Or not. Whatever. I honestly don't know what's going on half the time. Everything's so screen tearing like crazy. This is making it into a weird, trippy adventure. Like, through a photo reel or something. This is really not optimized. I know I keep saying that, and that's really what this entire video has become, but look at this! This is horrible! It's so clunky. You know, it's so weird to compare this to, like, GLQuake, which came out in January. So you want to say, like, 2 months after this, and the performance... Then again, I think the version of GLQuake I actually use is from, like, 98, but I think there really wasn't many changes between versions of GLQuake. I think it was just added features or something. We shall see when we get there eventually. All I can say is, I don't miss DosBox. Owie! should be everywhere. I'm trying to control myself here. This is so hard to see what you're doing. Here's a zombie. Hey, else? Hey, else? There's no one here. He's a free shot. Okay, we're down to 2 enemies, and it probably spawns. I'm pulling out my super nail gun because we're gonna need this. Which I'm pretty much dead. Aha, I see him. 1 down, 2 down! Brilliant. Alright, so we made it through that hellhole. All the while having blurry screen terror and me not knowing what in God's name I'm doing. Ain't this fun? You know what's also missing? An exit sign! Wait a minute, where's the exit sign? There's not supposed to be an exit sign on all these. I thought there was an exit sign on this one. Who knows, it probably is there, but the screen tearings probably make it so I can't see anything. I'm seeing like hints of red at times. I don't know what's going on half the time. Yeah. Screen tearing to the extreme. My god, this is horrible. Yeah, this is really horrible. Let me get out of here. Whew! My god. Okay, where in God's name are we going? Tower. Okay, let's get out of this mess. So, yeah, it's really a map whereby you go through similar looking areas, whatnot, and shoot some things, whatnot. Has a bunch of different things you can shoot, kill. It makes for a little actiony adventure. One big, and you could complain about the similar look in nature, but one thing I do have to say in favor of Office Hell is that, well, it's like an office. Offices usually are kind of similar in nature and look like each other. So that repetitious-based nature might actually work in its favor to be like an office of some sort. But yeah, at the end of the day, really, it's hard to really like praise this level too much, or even really like talk about it really at all, because I kind of couldn't get much of an opinion because I was too busy fighting with the whole this thing is lagging like crazy. I'll say it once, I'll say it again. DOS-based games are clunky. And I think this just proves my point even more. Because this is Quake. This is 96. It should handle fine. And it works perfectly fine on GLQuake, or even WinQuake, I think it works pretty fine. It's basically anything a Windows-based atmosphere. But as soon as you try and do anything old school and actually load it up in DOS, it gets horrible. It's horrible. Honestly, I don't know if it's DosBox, the program itself, that's horrible. I just hate DosBots, or if it's actually the DOS platform being terrible. But either way, it's a frustrating mess, and it's not fun. It doesn't make for a good time at all. This really brings down the whole experience by trying to use DosBots. I mean, look how clunky that was. I mean, screen tearing to the extreme, the inability to really see what I was doing half the time, lack of smoothness whatsoever, and this is on a native 300 by 200 resolution. I'm not even using any type of normal resolution like I would in GLQuake. GLQuake, I'd have in like 1440p or whatever. I'd have it like, set to like be resource demand in every way possible, and it wouldn't show even the slightest bit of lag. But yet with DOSBots, look, it basically just freaks out and fails entirely on me. Honestly, it just is a very terrible program. It emulates things and it does its job that way. But it's a terrible program when actually trying to, like, actually play the game. Or try and actually do something with it. And it's not just DOM DOS bots. That's the SVN port I'm using. And I guess you could say that I'm using SVN, I'm putting this on myself because it's not the natural DOSBox based thing. I've tried the regular DOSBox based solutions, and the problem is I have to use DOM in order to avoid most of the issues. You see, regular DOSBox is even worse because, well, sound pops constantly for whatever reason. It basically has issues with display. Basically, you'll not be able to actually scale it properly. Here at least it can scale at full screen. Over there, I end up with like black bars on the side of my screen. The fact of the matter is that, well, it just is clunky. It's clunky like crazy or whatnot, even there, because the fact of the matter is, it doesn't work right at all with recording equipment. You try and actually like record, and it basically crawls once again. In fact, it crawls worse over there than it does over here. And yeah, basically trying to use DOSBots is a lost cause, I feel, half the time. Um, I'd say for actual fun or entertainment of your own, if you don't have to use DOSBots, don't do it. This is one of those cases where by using the source port's probably better. In fact, I think this is kind of why I have like less. I have like a less bothersome nature when it comes to using source ports for like games that were running on the DOS platform. This is probably why I'm willing to use like GLQuake or whatnot, versus like another game like Doom, whereby I go full out or whatnot and use like GZ Doom or something. Um, and you compare something like that to something like 2 years later, like Thief, Unreal, all that. I like to be as vanilla as possible. Well, why is that? Because Thief and Unreal were native to the Windows platform. They weren't running in DOS. And I think that, at the end of the day, is the biggest problem. The fact of the matter is, by being in the DOS system, it inhibits you. It's really a pain in the butt thing to try and use. Um, it, it, it doesn't work half the time to do what you want it to do, and it feels more like a hassle than anything. It's not really fun because you just can't get it working or whatnot. If it worked smoothly, it would be fine. But the problem is, it crawls and it's clunky as heck trying to get through menus in a lot of these games. It just no game just works. And I think that's the biggest problem with DOS. And is that for some reason, whatever the reason, I don't know if it's the older games, I don't know what it is, but no game ever on the DOS-based systems have I ever found to just work. You saw with Elder Scrolls Arena, I had insufficient base memories every few seconds. I basically was playing through a game whereby I had memory errors constantly appearing to a point that was basically the game. Um, Daggerfall was a bit better, I want to say, but even that one had like crashes at times. It was not fully stable to usually get through a full play session without crashing. Um, and of course, that one had a lot of issues gameplay wise or whatnot. But at least on a DOS based system, I'd say that it probably worked as intended. I would say Daggerfall probably was one of the best for trying to play it in DOS because at least it worked like how I assume Daggerfall should play as opposed to like Elder Scrolls Arena, whereby insufficient base memory every 2 seconds is a terrible thing. I don't know if that was the game or if that was DOSBots or what it is. Um, and Quake here, it seems like it probably because it was the end of DOS's life or whatnot. It feels like DOS barely can handle Quake. It feels like I'm basically trying to push DOS to its limits, and DOS can't handle it. It basically is, it worked semi-fine with the original game, as you saw. When it came to the original levels, because the fact of the matter is, those are heavily optimized, and they're basically intended for consumption on the DOS-based platform. Even Q2. Q2 was pretty simplistic in its design, and therefore allowed for a lot of playability without really any performance issues. This, on the other hand, I mean, Doggering was small, so there was that. And then last time around, we didn't have many performance issues. But then this felt really, really bad. I'm really hoping this isn't like the future of how like these levels are going to be. Um, because this is horrible. And this isn't how it was in like GLQuake at all. Um, on GLQuake, I could actually play the game. So yeah, at this point, I'm really hoping that we can make it past the point whereby this lag keeps occurring. Because yeah, this is terrible. This is not the way I want to play a game. And like I said, really, I have to blame the DOS-based system. Like I said, it's either DOS itself or it's DOS bots. Um, it could be either or, because the fact of the matter is that the original Quake worked all right, and that kind of makes sense or whatnot, because that's kind of what would probably be expected back in '96. Um, so I can imagine that it probably worked maybe like DOS was back then, and it just was that way, whereby using anything like this would cause a lot of lag. Maybe this is why Dark Hour wasn't really played back then, was because it was demanding on these systems to a point that was impossible to play. Um, it might have been basically the Jurassic Park trespasser of its time or whatever, whereby it was too performance demanding on systems at that time to really be playable. And yeah, basically, DOSBox is a clunky program or whatnot. Like I said, I don't know if it's DOSBox or it's the DOS system in general. Um, I'm happy that it emulates things. That's always a great thing. Is that the fact of the matter is that it emulates and captures a lot of things we otherwise wouldn't be able to do at all. So I guess it's something is better than nothing. But still, it feels like there's so much room for improvement. It feels like, why is it this clunky? This doesn't feel like something. It feels like it'd work more with simple work-based programs or something than it would actually for like gameplay and playing like a bunch of old school games on. And at the end of the day, I think definitely that's a big thing why exactly I prefer games that are like after '96 as well. Because the fact of the matter is, then I'm not tied to DOS. You start getting earlier, and depending on the game you're playing, you're either playing with the source port, which usually breaks features of the original game, or you're playing on DOS and going absolutely out of your mind. So yeah, I think I definitely, at the end of the day, prefer things that kind of going forward or whatnot. Quake kind of just catches the hook because the fact of the matter, it came out with GLQuake, which is the official thing or whatnot, and was basically made by Carmack, was basically officially supported, designed, and intended for use with Quake, and works fully well. Basically, that really is what kind of saves Quake in the end, in my opinion. If it wasn't for GLQuake, I think I would really not be that big into Quake. I think I wouldn't be able to really tolerate the game at all. Because the fact of the matter is, DOSBox is a very frustrating system, and I think this alone kind of proves why I'm frustrated by it. Because the fact of the matter is, it's a pain to control, and it feels like, how often in these videos have I had to fight with it to get something to work, the resolution to work, to get the ability to scroll through Q2 levels to work. This, that, the other thing. Feels like always something is going on. There's been sound popping problems I had, off camera that I had to deal with. There's all these little random issues that keep popping up that I have to try and fix, and it feels like, why doesn't the game just work? Um, my computer can handle pretty much anything you throw at it for most gaming, especially an old school game. But yet, because of how DOSBots is and how the DOS system is in general, everything feels clunky, horrible, slow, and it feels like I'm not playing on a very good computer at all. I might as well be playing on like a low quality notebook over here, and I be getting the same performance it feels like. It's just a terrible experience. And I think that's a big part of the problem is that it feels terrible. uh, Anyway, I've been going on this rant for long enough, but yeah, I kind of thought it would be good to express all this because it definitely is something that, I think should be mentioned or whatnot. Is that there's a big difference between the early 90s and the late 90s when it comes to gaming. And I think at the forefront, not only is it the 3D change, not is it everything like that, it's the fact that when we started going 3D, we also started going onto the Windows-based systems. And when we got into Windows-based systems, things performed a lot better. You compare this, compared to like GLQuake, compared to Thief, compared to Unreal, and there's no competition at all on performance. You compare all those to something that's more modern or so, there's still going to be that level of performance, and it becomes dependent on your hardware. Um, but like I said, you go back to DosBox or whatever, and it feels like your computer is terrible no matter what. And I just don't like that. I don't like the fact that matter that it feels like I'm basically running a very limited system or whatnot, whereby I'm sitting here having to suck up a lot of terrible issues when I have a good computer. It feels like, why am I dealing with this? I have a pretty high quality computer. Why am I dealing with all these issues just to entertain myself in a game? It's I think really at the end of the day, that's probably one of the biggest problems with all this stuff, and why exactly I can't find myself getting into um, games prior to '96. Because then you need to start looking into all these source ports for every game that you want to play, and usually, like I said, all of those end up in turn changing core gameplay features because they're all source ports and whatnot that drastically change things around. And plus, it's all the unofficial state nature of it. Unofficial always kind of bugs me. So, yeah. But that's probably why I have less of like I get less bothered by trying to do like unofficial stuff in the first place. Why I try and not play on DOSBots as much as possible. Besides when I've been trying to do these. And why exactly I'm regretting my choice of even trying to show you guys all in DOSBots now. Like I said, I think this is why all these years, ever since I've started playing Quake, why I've avoided trying to do it in DOSBots. Pretty much my entire experience in Quake has mostly been on GLQuake 0.98. Um, I basically stuck out there and basically played. And the thing is, with that one, it just works. Sure, it takes a bit of knowledge how to get everything working. Um, to improve it, should I say, it works by default, but you can make it better by if you know what you're doing. Um, but I've looked into like resource guides. I've asked people how to get DOS mods working for me. I've been going crazy with this, and it feels like it just never works. It feels like no matter what, you have to put up with something, and that's just not good. So yeah, needless to say, I'll be happy once we get off DOSBots. I'll be happy once I'm free. And so yeah, honestly, I think at the end of the day, I'm going to be moving away slowly from the DOSBots based platform and trying to make it so that way I don't have to play any game on DOSBots in the future because this is horrible. This is a horrible experience. Um, Anyway, thank you very much all for watching. I know it's been terrible. I know this has been a really long rant, but I feel it's been kind of up and coming and whatnot with this particular one especially. This really kind of set me over edge when it comes to DOSBots. Um, like I said, I've been dealing with a lot of issues on the last few games and whatnot I've been playing, but this really has kind of gotten to a point whereby it's like, how many issues do I have to put up with? Anyway, thank you very much all for watching. I know it's been long and arduous. It feels like every single one of these Dark Hour videos is becoming over half an hour. But more content, right? More things I get to say, the more you get to listen to. So longer maybe will be better for some people. Anyway, thank you very much all for watching. It has been the adventure, and I shall see you all next time.